What's up, everybody? About a week and a half ago, we got Season 5 of Modern Warfare 3 in Warzone, and as promised, and I've promised every season and not delivered, but finally we're going to talk about the best loadouts currently in Season 5. Haven't really done these videos since maybe the beginning of Mazrah, maybe the end of CODWZ, but I do want to start getting back at this. So we are going to go through the best loadouts. We're going to have sniper loadouts, LMG loadouts, and AR loadouts, paired with secondaries, of course. And I'll have videos linked down below for different various loadouts that I talk about. If you want to go check out more of these guns in detail, and also down below I will have my Twitch link down below. If you ever want to see me try out any of these, if you ever have a new suggestion for one might be better, different attachment, whatever, just hop in the chat and let me know. You can also let me know in the comments in this video, and while you're scrolling down to comment, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you like this type of content and you want to see it first. Without further ado, let's run to the loadouts. Okay, so first we're going to start off with a passive sniper loadout. Personally, I run the Cat because that's what I'm used to, but if I'm being honest, the MWIII is the better full-range one-shot sniper. Of course, you have the MWIII snipers, but you gotta have explosive ammo, which according to apparently a leak from a creator call, they're getting rid of that, but for now, that ruins the bullet velocity, so that has no chance, and the Cat doesn't have near the bullet velocity or the fire rate of the MWIII. So we end up with the MWIII as our more passive sniper, although with the fire rate, you can be pretty aggressive with it. It's the same build it's been for a long time now. At least on my end. We have the Tone Heavy Barrel, the SL Razor Hawk, and of course we're running the Razor Hawk for sprint to fire and aim down sight speed. We do have the Tone Heavy Barrel for the aim idle sway, which is really important, and the bullet velocity, which is also important. We have the HVP anti-material slug because that's what makes it one shot at the whole range. And unlike explosive ammo, it does not ruin the bullet velocity. Takes it down 20%. We're at 792, but it doesn't ruin the bullet velocity like the MWIII snipers are, like 500 something. Then we have the Icarus light stock. Some people run the super light stock, but it kills your aim idle sway, which, especially if you're being passive sniping, you're not quick scoping, then aim idle sway is going to be important. Plus, it really hurts your flinch resistance. It does help with sprint to fire speed, movement speed, aim walking speed, and hip fire speed, but I go with the Icarus light stock, which helps with aim down sight speed and sprint to fire speed and doesn't hurt your aim idle sway. If you're really concerned with aim idle sway, you can go with the high road heavy stock, which will help a lot with that aim idle sway, but it's going to hurt your ADS and your sprint to fire speed. And you can go with the Verve tac stock if you want movement speed, but that also hurts your aim idle sway. I recommend the Icarus light stock because this is a passive build, or the high road heavy stock. You can run the super light like people, but choose between the first two stocks. And then finally, the quick bolt for the faster fire rate. You could consider going with something like that instead of the laser. You could go with the OP 980 grip if you don't want to be seen. That helps your aim down sight speed, but not a whole lot. Other than that, you could go with the CNTR6 grip, which helps your aim idle sway and flinch resistance, which the laser doesn't, but I would recommend the build I have on screen or just changing out one of the stocks. So then we're going to pair that with the STG sniper support build, which is one of the videos that will be linked down below. So I'm not going to go too in depth in this, but we have the Stalker, Stalker D9 suppressed barrel because it's a suppressed barrel, so we're off radar. It's a shorter barrel that helps with bullet velocity and range, so you don't need to run like the long barrel or the 7.92 barrel or the Bruin Acrux heavy barrel, which also, this helps your aim down sight speed weirdly because it's a shorter barrel, and it helps your movement speed, where these other barrels do the opposite of that. So we run with that. DR6 hand stop, it helps ADS speed. It's that or the edge, but since we're using an AR as a sniper sport, we got to fight SMGs. We do want the better ADS speed. 40 round mag, you can go 50, but it doubles the ADS penalty. Jack glassless optics, since we're not running a Bruin heavy underbarrel to help with the fire aim stability, which is that visual recoil, and then the Citadel grip to help with recoil control and gun control more. Of course, I mentioned in my video on it before that you could switch to the Knot grip if you want to help that ADS and sprint to fire more, and the recoil's not bad. And you could do the 50 round mag, but other than that, I would probably leave this as is. You could also drop the Citadel grip if you don't think the recoil's bad and go with the high grain rounds as well. And then, so now we're going to move on to aggressive sniper, which we all know is going to be the car. I know there's a couple different car builds out there, but the one I prefer is going to be the sonic suppressor, which I think is the common attachment. That helps with bullet velocity and range and keeps you off the radar. Then the 7.62 barrel helps with that bullet velocity and damage range. Because this isn't one shot at all ranges, we do want to make sure we're pushing out that damage range as much as we can, which we do with the sonic suppressor, the barrel, and then high grain rounds, which help bullet velocity and damage range even more. Then finally, where things start to change up a little bit is I run the SL Razorhawk, and a lot of people don't want to be visible while they're ADSing, although if you're being really aggressive sniping, you're probably not holding ADS long, and it probably doesn't really matter too much, but it helps with the sprint to fire speed a lot and the aim down sight speed. Sprint to fire 14%, aim down sight speed 9%. If you don't want to be seen, I believe it's one of the slings. It's the target sling, which helps aim down sight, but that only helps 5% and doesn't give you any other benefits. Some people will go crazy and run no stock, but then that kills your flinch resistance. But if you are being ultra aggressive, you can go with that, of course. I just would not recommend it. So either go no stock, go with the target sling, which once again only helps you 5%, but I would recommend sticking with the Razorhawk, which helps your ADS speed 9% plus that sprint to fire speed, and then optic of your choice. I know a lot of people like the optic that you unlocked with the car, which is the range caller 3.4 optic, because it gives you the classic 7 times magnification of the old car. It gives you that classic triangle reticle, but I hate the triangle reticle, and this still gives me 6.6 zoom. It does give you 11.0% as, or 11.0 times. I don't know why I'm saying that's so weird. And you can go with that. This hurts your ADS speed 15%, where the range caller also hurts at 15%. So then it becomes a matter of preference. Reload quickness slows down as much because you can't just load the clip in. I know that some people are running, I think it's this Thermo Optic X9, and that doesn't hurt, and then you can reload a whole clip, but you only get, what, 5.5 times? So any of those three optics, I think, are the optics of choice, but of course, optic is up to you. Then we're going to pair that with the static HV, which is another video. I have the base SMG build or the regular SMG build. This is more of a sniper support build, so it's a little bit different. I'm probably going to go in a little more depth in sniper supports in the coming week. But the big changes here are, instead of the Zem, we have the Quartermaster, which I know people are running anyways. Where I like the Zem really is the firing aim stability. And this helps way more with recoil. Gun kick 10%, vertical recoil 10%, horizontal 23%. The Zem is no gun kick control, horizontal recoil only 5%, and vertical recoil only 15%. And it hurts your bullet velocity, which isn't great for sniper support, but it doesn't hurt your ADS speed as much. It's 5% as opposed to 7%, and you don't get a sprint to fire penalty. Plus, you get the firing aim stability. So in the SMG build, we run the compensated flash hider, but since we're going to have to go a little more at range, we want more of that recoil control, and we don't want the bullet velocity hurt like it is with the Zem 35, so we go with the Quartermaster there. Then we have the long barrel, just like we do on the SMG, help with that bullet velocity, aim, idle, sway. Some people run the light barrel because it helps you with movement speed, sprint to fire, aim down sight speed. If you want to run that on your SMG build, go for it. It does hurt your recoil and gun kick control, so I would not recommend it on your sniper support build. And then I think some people have tried the comp barrel, which helps recoil control and gun kick control, but not as much as the long barrel helps bullet velocity range, so ends up not being worth it to me. Plus, I don't think the recoil is too crazy on this. Then we go with the XRK Edge. Once again, this is going to be for movement speed. The static is slower movement speed than the Superi, which did just get another nerf, but it's still a better moving SMG. If you want more ADS and sprint to fire benefits, because we're running the Jack Glassless in this build and we're running the Quartermaster, go with the DR6 hand stop. You just don't get as much of a movement benefit. You can also consider the paracord grip as well, because that's going to help with the horizontal recoil, which is going to help when you're shooting further and increases your sprint to fire and helps your movement speed as well. But I would stick with the DR6 or the XRK Edge hand stop. Then I run the Jack Glassless. We are shooting this farther at range, and we're not using the Zem anymore, so we're losing that firing aim stability, which is important, so I run the Jack Glassless. But again, if the visual shake does not bother you, go with your favorite optic like the NIDAR or the Slate Reflector, the Moore's Dot Sight. I've kind of really started to like and actually run on my SMG build. And then we have the Spry Light Stock for sprint speed, aim down sight speed, movement speed. For the sniper support build, if you are finding you're trying to shoot this at more range, you can go to the heavy stock, which helps with recoil control, gun kick control, fire aim stability, and aim idle sway. Or you can drop the stock, which is what I would drop, if anything. Nope, I thought there was an ammo. I keep thinking there's an ammo. There's not. That's the Superior that has it, and other SMGs. But I would stick with the stock then, because there's no ammo. That's just me being dumb on my part. So that's going to be the aggressive sniper loadout. We're going to move to LMG number 2. The LMG number 2 here is going to be the Holger 26. It was the meta last season, and it's still, like, it still kind of sits into the same place it always has, where it's a better long-range option than people tend to realize. But there is something that people prefer to use long range more, whether it was the DG58, whether it was during the RAM meta, even with the RAM drop off, the STG now with the STG's drop off at long range, the Holger is still your second best long range option. What it does have over the number 1 long range option, which I just put a video on, is better movement, ADS, and all that. But we're not super concerned with that because this is our number 2 LMG. It's just one of 2 options that I would recommend running. So we have the Quartermaster Suppressor, which you're going to see on all of our long range ARs and LMGs because of that great recoil benefit. Then we go with the Holger Factory Barrel, recoil control, bullet velocity, gun kick range. And I'll put last season's video it linked down below for the Holger 26. The only difference is going to be the Quartermaster Suppressor, but everything else I talk about is pretty similar. It did catch a small nerf, so the true game data part's a little bit out of date, but the build's the same and the logic's the same. So we get bullet velocity range. I don't think any of the other barrels do that. They don't, so that's why you end up with the factory barrel. Bruin heavy support grip helps with that firing aim stability, which is why it is reigned supreme as the underbarrel of choice. Because it does hurt vertical recoil where you go over to the paracord grip, and it doesn't hurt vertical recoil. It actually helps horizontal recoil 15%, where the Bruin Heavy is only 8%. But you get more visual recoil because it doesn't have firing aim stability. But it does help with movement speed further, sprint to fire speed, ADS movement speed, which aren't things that are super important, especially if you're running LMG. You're probably being more passive in your AR LMG gunfights. So I stick with the Bruin Heavy to help with that visual recoil, especially because I'm not someone who's good with a 1x or an iron sight. Oops. So I have to use the Choreo Eagle's Eye because I just can't see, and using the Choreo Eagle's Eye allows me to see, but gives you more visual recoil, so that firing aim stability is important. Optic of choice, of course, you can go with the Jack Glassless if you like a 1x, which will hurt your ADS less than the Choreo Eagle's Eye and give you more firing aim stability, or whatever optic you prefer. You can go with an iron sight build and free up an attachment slot. So we go the Ascent Lord stock as well, which helps with the firing aim stability, recoil control, gun kick control, and aim idle sway. The RB Adel Assault stock does help with gun kick control and firing aim stability, but it does not help with recoil control or aim idle sway. And in fact, the gun kick control is the same without some of the other benefits. Plus, it hurts sprint to fire speed more than the Ascent move stock, Ascent Lord stock. Then finally, we have the Holger Factory stock, which doesn't help gun kick control, doesn't help recoil, doesn't help firing aim stability. It hurts aim idle sway, hurts gun kick control, so not something we want for range. Of course, if you want, you can drop the optic and get rid of it 1x and just go iron sight. You can go with the high grain rounds. If you don't think the recoil is too bad, drop the Ascent Lord stock and go with the high grain rounds. I wouldn't recommend a rear grip or a magazine. If you want to play more aggressive with it and you play like solos or duos, you could go with the 40 round mag instead of one of the other attachments, but I would recommend changing the ammo instead. Then, of course, we have it paired with what's the second best SMG now, but I figured it fit well because the Holger's advantage over the number 1 LMG is going to be movement. The big advantage for the Superior still is movement. I don't know if I have a Superior video with this exact build, so I can link down the old one, but I think the build is slightly different, but a lot of it's still the same. I think the only thing that changes is the stock. Actually, it might be the same build, but I'll link it down below, of course. We have the ZEM 35 compensator. A lot of people are switching to the Quartermaster, especially with this build and us focusing on movement stuff. The ADS penalty and the sprint to fire penalty is not as big of a deal, but I do like the horizontal recoil control. I do like the ZEM hurts your ADS speed less and gives you that firing aim stability. And I'm not great with iron sights even on SMGs, so the fact that I'm getting less visual recoil is definitely a big bonus. We could go with the Boar 99 short barrel, which of course is another reason why we need the ZEM, because this hurts firing aim stability, but the sprint to fire speed, aim down move speed, and the movement speed benefits are too much for me to ignore. I know some people are just taking the barrel off altogether. I think there was another barrel some people were running, but I might be tripping about that. I know it's not one of the suppressed barrels. It might be the Hound Guard heavy barrel, but I think a lot of people are taking the barrel off in favor of going with the high grain ammo. which of course is an option you can do. I have the DR6 hand stop because we are focused on movement, and of course that gives you 5% on movement speed overall, where the XR, but it also does give you the ADS and sprint to fire. Choose between the XRK Edge and the DR6. I think the ADS speed and the sprint to fire speed bonus are worth it, considering it's such good movement, but if you want to really max out movement, you can go with the XRK Edge. Then we have the 40 round mag because it is the biggest mag, and then we have the Rescue 9 stock because that's also going to help movement speed, sprint to fire speed, tactical sprint speed, and it does help recoil control. So it's like the ultimate stock for an SMG because we're not too worried about aim idle sway and flinch resistance. Some people go with the Jack Cutthroat because that really amps up the movement speed. 6% for movement speed, 10% for crouch movement speed, and ADS movement speed 17%. Where the Rescue stock doesn't quite do that much, does 11% on movement speed, 6% on sprint speed, and 8% on tac sprint speed. It doesn't give you quite the movement, but the Cutthroat hurts your recoil 10% both horizontal and vertical, and 10% on recoil gun kick. Whereas we're getting 8% horizontal, 8% recoil benefit on the Rescue 9. So we still get the Rescue 9 stock. Of course, you can drop the stock or drop the barrel to go high grain. There's not any other attachments that I would recommend switching, but it is only the second best SMG, so I probably wouldn't run it anyways. Then we're going to go, whoops, you just got to preview AR number 2, although I think a lot of people would have guessed that. Then we go LMG number 1, the TAC Eradicator, which I just uploaded a video on, which I will link down below. So not going to go super in depth. Once again, we're going with the Quartermaster Suppressor for the same reasons. We go with the Conquer 70 long barrel for the aim idle sway, bullet velocity, and range. The short barrel, it hurts bullet velocity and range, and we're not worried about sprint to fire and movement speed. And the light barrel hurts damage range, bullet velocity, and recoil control. So the exact opposite of what we want for an LMG, and it helps sprint to fire speed, which we don't really care about. Brewed heavy support grip for the same reasons as we have on the Holger. You can go with the paracord grip, of course. It comes down to preference, but once again, I'm using the Corio Eagle's Eye, so I need the firing aim stability, especially because we don't get that in our suppressor. So I need that firing aim stability because I'm zoomed in because I can't see on a 1x. Then we end up with the TAC Verde Core stock, which helps with gun kick control, firing aim stability, which once again I need, and recoil control. We're looking at 23% on the gun kick, which is your initial shot or first couple shots. Then the horizontal and vertical recoil of 5%. The Brute stock gives you 15% on gun control, helps your ADS speed, but doesn't give you as much horizontal recoil control or vertical recoil control. The X-Line Pro hurts your horizontal and vertical recoil, and the Ballast stock is all about movement, which of course we don't really care about. Does help firing aim stability, but we have that with the Bruin Heavy, and so does the TAC Brute, but once again, we have that on our stock already, plus we have that on our Bruin Heavy. So this is going to be our loadout for the TAC Eradicator. Of course, if you are fine with the recoil, drop the stock. I wouldn't drop the underbarrel, but you could drop the stock for high grain. Again, high grain is always an option when you feel comfortable with the recoil. So now we're moving, and then we have the SMG build of the static. Once again, I'm running the M35. So it doesn't hurt ADS as much, and it helps that vertical recoil and horizontal recoil and firing aim stability. Quartermaster does give you better recoil control, hurts your ADS more, and hurts sprint to fire, whereas the M35 doesn't. Quartermaster keeps you completely off the map, where the Zem just keeps you on there a lot less. Then we have the heavy barrel, the XRK Edge, hand stop. I switched to the MWIII dot sight because I don't need the firing aim stability help as far, because I'm not shooting as far. So I got the MWIII dot and the Spry 34 light stock. Of course, there is no magazine, so that's why we end up with an optic. Rear grip is blocked by the stock. There's no mag attachment, there's no high grain rounds, and there's not a laser worth using unless you're going into a tac stance build. That's going to be the SMG version. And of course, we do have a video on this, which I will link down below, using this build. Then we go into the ARs. We have AR number 2 with the SVA 545, which has just been meta/meta adjacent like all of Warzone's life. I'm not personally a fan because it is better in burst mode, which is what this loadout is built for, and I'm not a big burst person. I hate it when the DG56 or whatever the burst AR was meta for the first week or two of Urzikstan. Hated that. But because this is on burst and the automatic mode already has very little recoil, the burst has literally 0 recoil, so we don't build for recoil control. If you use this build, you know that. So that's why we don't have the Quartermaster. We have the Sonic Suppressor because we don't care that it hurts recoil control. But what we do care about is increasing that bullet velocity and range, where the Quartermaster doesn't increase bullet velocity or range, and it's mainly for recoil and gun kick control. And the Sonic Suppressor also keeps us off of map, just like the Quartermaster does. The Quartermaster hurts aim down sight speed, where the Sonic Suppressor does not, which is another big benefit. Both hurt sprint to fire speed. Sonic Suppressor is 3%, Quartermaster is 6%. So we run with the Sonic Suppressor here. Then we go with the SVT Precision Barrel, which does help with recoil control. We are concerned with gun kick control because it's a burst weapon, and gun kick is what matters more to burst weapons. But it helps with bullet velocity and range, which is what we are here for the most. I don't know. None of the other builds do that. So that automatically makes the SVT Precision #1. Here's where we are definitely running high grain rounds because it helps that bullet velocity range. We're not worried about recoil, so we don't need to run an underbarrel or a stock. Then we go with the 60 round mag because it is the biggest mag. Choreo Eagle's Eye is what I run. Of course, optic is up to preference. Of course, ARs are a little more aggressive, so if you wanted to go that route and you're fine with like iron sights, you could drop the iron sights for honestly the demo 56 grip because of that gun kick control. But like the not Z3 grip, you could go with the Razorhawk laser over an optic if you are fine with iron sights. But this is, I think, the pretty common build for everyone that runs the SVT. Of course, we have the Superior 46, but it's the same build as we just talked about with the Holger. I only put that there because it's #2, but really if I was running the SVA, I'd also be running the Static HV because that is probably the best SMG now. But we'll talk about SMGs in an upcoming video in the next few days. Then we have AR #1. I'm pretty sure everybody would have suspected this. With the Static HV SMG build we just talked about with the TAC Eradicator, so we're not going to talk about that because that is the best SMG, which is why it's with the #1 AR, #1 LMG. It's going to be the Quartermaster Suppressor for the reasons we've talked about. Bruin Heavy Support Grip for the reasons we've talked about. Choreo Eagle's Eye, of course, optic is preference. I know there's a slightly different build than what I'm going to talk about, which we do talk about in the video that I put up on the STG, which I'll link below. I do have a video on the sniper support as well as the AR builds. Where things start to differ here is some people will run the build I have. This is, I think, everyone's initial build, and it's the build that I like. Where we go with the 7.92 barrel. I'm not even going to try to say the first word of that. And that helps with the recoil control and bullet velocity. Where some people change, first of all, is they go with the long barrel here. Doesn't help with recoil control at all, but that kind of goes into the other build that they're running. It helps with the bullet velocity and damage range a lot more. Bullet velocity is only 3% more, but the effective damage range and minimum damage range are 13% more, but you don't get the recoil control help with the long barrel. I've seen some people run the heavy barrel, which also gives you more damage range, bullet velocity, and recoil control. It actually gives you less gun kick control, which is where it falls off, and it hurts your ADS speed, which the 7.92 barrel does not. But it does help bullet velocity and effective damage range more. I like the 7.92 barrel because it gives you the extra recoil control and the extra gun kick control. Where I said things start to differ is I have seen people running the long barrel. They drop the Bruin Heavy Support Grip, and then they go to the combo stock, which helps with gun kick control, recoil control, and aim fire stability. 21, 11, and 11 are the numbers to remember there for kick, horizontal, and vertical, where the Bruin Heavy Support Grip is 10, 8, and hurts vertical recoil, but it helps the aim stability more. And with using the 2 times, that is more important. Where people make that up on that other build is they're running the Jack Glassless Optic. So of course, build is up to the user, but this is the build that I prefer and the build that I like, running with the Static HV, of course. So that's going to be our best loadouts. Just real quick, running through them again. Your passive sniper is going to be your Moors with the STG sniper support. Aggressive sniper class is the car with the Static HV sniper support build. The LMG, the second best LMG is going to be the Holger. The second best SMG is going to be the Superior. The #1 LMG is going to be the TAC Eradicator with the Static HV. Then the #2 AR is the SVA. We just threw Superior on there. But the #1 AR is going to be the STG-44. And the #1 SMG is the Static HV. So those are our loadouts up to this point in Season 5. There is another broken loadout that I think is a more fun broken than a meta broken, which will also be its own video in the coming days. A hint, it's a conversion kit. It got me with some spectators last night when I was playing with it. So broken, but more fun broken, because at times it can be hard to use. But that is your recommended loadouts for Season 5. Of course, like I said, let me know in the comments down below what you think of my loadouts, or if you have suggestions to change the builds, or some other gun that I'm sleeping on that I should try. Let me know. Once again, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell if you like this type of content and want to see it first. And my Twitch will be linked down below, as well as my TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, and my single-player YouTube channel. So feel free to check me out anywhere else. Always makes my day when I get interactions on any platform. But I will see you on Urzikstan, Rebirth Island, Fortune's Keep, and Vondel. Get frying. Have a good day.